The pilot woke up in a cold sweat, his heart hammering against his ribs. The dream was always the same, a horrifyingly vivid loop of fire, falling metal, and the sickening lurch of a plane losing control. He was a man of logic, a veteran pilot who trusted his instruments and his training, not his nightmares. But he had no idea that his recurring dream was in fact an urgent divine message, a precognitive warning from a spiritual guardian that, weeks later, would give him the split-second knowledge needed to save 1 to 84 souls from a catastrophe. This is the incredible true story of United Airlines Flight 232, a story of a disaster that should have been unsurvivable, and the mysterious, prophetic dream that turned a certain tragedy into one of the most miraculous feats of aviation history. Captain Al Haynes was a seasoned aviator, a man with over 29,000 flight hours under his belt. He was practical, grounded, and not prone to flights of fancy. But in the weeks leading up to July 19, 1989, his sleep had been invaded. The dream was relentless. He would be in the cockpit of a DC-10, just like the one he flew for United, when a catastrophic engine failure would occur. He would hear the explosion, feel the violent shudder through the fuselage, and then the most terrifying part, the complete loss of all flight controls. The plane would become an unguided missile, and he would be helpless, wrestling with a dead yoke as the aircraft spiraled towards the ground. The stakes of his profession were always life and death. But this dream felt different. It felt like a rehearsal. It was so real he could smell the acrid smoke, feel the gut-wrenching G-forces. He woke up from it night after night, his pajamas soaked with sweat. He mentioned it to his wife, to his first officer, Denny Fitch, half joking about it to dispel the unease it created. He tried to dismiss it as stress, as a random firing of synapses in his sleeping brain. Yet a part of him couldn't shake the feeling that he was being shown something. It was a warning, a piece of forbidden knowledge about a future that was rapidly approaching. On that fateful July day, Flight 232 was soaring at 37,000 feet over Iowa, en route from Denver to Chicago. It was a routine flight, the cabin calm, the passengers reading, sleeping, or watching the patchwork of farmland slide by below. The feeling was one of perfect, monotonous safety. Then at 3:16 p.m., a sound like a cannon blast ripped through the tranquility. The number 2 engine, mounted in the tail, had exploded. It wasn't just an engine failure. It was a catastrophic disintegration. Shrapnel from the engine's fan disc, spinning at thousands of RPM, shot out like bullets, severing all 3 of the plane's redundant hydraulic lines. In an instant, the impossible scenario from Captain Haynes's dream became a terrifying reality. The plane lurched violently. A cascade of warning lights lit up the cockpit, but the most horrifying discovery was the controls. The yoke was completely unresponsive. The pedals were useless. They had no ailerons, no elevators, no rudder. They were flying a 400,000-pound glider with no way to steer it. The sensation in the cockpit was one of utter disbelief. The air was suddenly thick with the metallic tang of fear and the low, urgent hum of emergency alarms. This was a situation that was not supposed to happen. It was a 1 in a billion failure, something pilots trained for in theory but never ever expected to encounter. The crew declared an emergency, their voices preternaturally calm over the radio, a testament to their incredible professionalism. But inside, they were facing a pilot's worst nightmare. What do you do when the unflyable happens? How do you land a plane that refuses to be flown? As chaos erupted in the cockpit, something incredible happened in Captain Haynes's mind. The dream, his nightmare, flashed before his eyes. But this time, it wasn't just a horror movie. It was a simulator. He had been in this exact situation, night after night. The terror of the dream was replaced by a strange sense of familiarity. While his conscious mind was reeling, a deeper part of him, a part that had been trained by this mysterious prophetic dream, was already working on the problem. He knew instinctively how the plane would react. He knew the feeling of the dead controls. The dream had inadvertently prepared him for the unthinkable. It was Denny Fitch, the first officer who had heard about the dream, who came up with the desperate, brilliant idea. They could try to steer the plane using only the differential thrust of the two remaining wing-mounted engines. By increasing power on one side and decreasing it on the other, they could make crude, lumbering turns. It was like trying to steer a freight train on a tightrope. It was a technique no one had ever been trained to do, a maneuver that existed only in the realm of theoretical aerodynamics. For the next 44 minutes, the 4 pilots in the cockpit, including a training check pilot who happened to be on board, performed a miracle in the sky. They fought the bucking, uncontrollable aircraft, managing to guide it toward the airport in Sioux City, Iowa. The sensation was brutal. The plane would only turn right, forcing them to fly in a series of massive, clumsy circles to line up with the runway. It was a testament to their skill, their teamwork, and something more. It was a testament to the power of a warning delivered from a source beyond our understanding. Why did Captain Haynes have that dream? Skeptics might call it a coincidence, a statistical anomaly. But for those who see a deeper pattern in the universe, it was a clear act of divine intervention. It was a message from a guardian, perhaps the Archangel Michael, the protector and guide delivered in the only way it could be received, through the subconscious mind. The dream was a spiritual flight simulation, a divine training exercise to prepare a pilot for a test that would have otherwise been impossible to pass. The crash landing at Sioux Gateway Airport was violent. The plane cartwheeled down the runway, breaking apart and bursting into flames. It was a scene of utter devastation. Yet of the 296 people on board, 184 survived. The survival of so many in a crash of that magnitude was, and still is, considered a miracle. It was a miracle made possible by the extraordinary skill of the flight crew and by a dream. A dream that gave them a few precious seconds of familiarity in a situation where every second counted. The story of Flight 232 is a powerful testament that we are not adrift in a random, chaotic universe. It suggests that there are forces of protection and guidance that work in mysterious ways, sending us warnings and preparing us for trials we cannot foresee. The dream was a whisper from the divine, a message of caution that crossed the veil between the spiritual and physical worlds to save 184 lives. It reminds us to pay attention to our intuition, to those strange, recurring dreams or nagging feelings. They may not just be random thoughts. They may be a message from your guardian angel, a divine warning meant to guide you, protect you, and lead you through the fire. If you believe in the power of divine warnings and angelic protection, consider following for more stories that reveal the mysterious workings of the universe.